Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathy. Good morning, Allison. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Mike. Good to be back.
Yes, good to be back. Lots to talk about. Never enough time.
As
Never
usual.
enough time. So, I want to jump right into this. We just had the primaries.
Yes.
And I know in some areas there was good voter turnout, some not so much because it's a off year, so that's a problem.
Right.
But my wife pointed out to me an op-ed in the Bridge Weekly dated August 13, 2026. And this pretty much condenses the feelings of a lot of people, me and you included. So I wanted to read this. This is from Darcy in Reigate, Vermont. Our local Democrat/progressive legislative candidate platforms all emphasize the term affordability to solicit voter support. However, their long-standing track record proves otherwise. We've been under Democrat/progressive leadership and control, I would add, in both legislative bodies for more than 3 decades, with a supermajority in 2023 and 2024. That supermajority overrode 6 of Governor Scott's vetoes intended to slow the bleeding of their uncontrolled spending, regulation, and mandates.
Yes.
Under this leadership, Vermont spending has increased by 62% since 2019.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to really fathom.
Insane.
This is unacceptable. That's about the most
Kind word
you can say without having to bleep it out.
Right.
More spending does not translate to affordability. More money thrown at more programs to quote unquote fix problems is not the answer. They're spending compassion, in quotes here, in many cases makes problems worse. Child care, education, health care, energy policy, environment, housing, et al. And I would add here, like Allison, you and I talked about this. You sat in committee in the Energy and IT, Digital IT Committee when I presented H767.
Yes.
And I stated out loud, look, we're only human. We're flesh and bone. We make mistakes. It's time we admit that we made a mistake and change course. And that fell very flat on the room.
Rick, what do you mean we made a mistake?
We made, right.
No, we made many mistakes.
Yeah, we've made many. So this
It's a great summary.
op-ed
Thank
is
you,
great.
Darcy. Yes.
Voters, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. A recent UNH study shows 40% of Vermonters are ready to exit this state because it is unaffordable.
And we shouldn't have to leave.
No, we shouldn't have to leave.
No.
We shouldn't have to leave. In 2024, we experienced a red wave with Republicans. Vermont Republicans gained 23 seats in the House and the Senate combined and removed the Democrat progressive supermajority. And ladies and gentlemen, I sat through this.
Yeah. Huge
It was
win.
really,
That was a
really
huge win.
tough the first session. But we got our legs under us, we got our feet under us, and we made progress. We made a lot of really bad bills a lot less bad.
Right.
We were able to put a megaphone out there and shine a light on policies
Right.
that needed to be fixed. And because of engagement outside the building, it worked.
Right. And we have to keep going in that direction. There's a lot more to fix.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. With this leverage, Republicans achieved several significant wins, including the rollback of Act 181,
Yes.
the prevention of new taxes and unnecessary regulations, and reductions in proposed property tax, education, and health care costs increases. And might I add now, the governor's EO to help with the health care stuff. A renewed balance, meaning more Republicans getting elected this session, ladies and gentlemen, I'm adding to this article, will help drive that.
Yes.
Okay?
Is what we need.
Let's not have short-term memories and go backward. Let's make 2026 a continuation of 2024 and give Governor Scott and Lieutenant Governor Rogers a House and Senate to work with to successfully bring affordability back to Vermont households and businesses. Republicans can and will produce results. Vermont is worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Darcy. I couldn't agree more.
Exactly.
So I want to expand on this a little bit because there's a lot to expand on here. Back in 2022, I ran for Attorney General. I was up in either Essex or Essex Junction. I can't remember where. But I was getting out of my truck, walking into a lunch meeting, and I was fixing my suit jacket, and a woman was walking by. She said, "Oh, you look great." I said, "Thank you very much." I said, "Hold on a minute. Can I talk to you?" So she stopped, and I asked if she was a registered voter. She said yes, and I started talking to her, and she stopped me. She said, "Are you a Republican or a Democrat?" She didn't ask what my platform was.
Right.
She asked what party I was from.
Right.
And I said, "I'm a Republican." She said, "Oh, I could never vote for a Republican."
Oh, the partisan divide.
Without knowing anything about
who
me.
you are, what you stand for.
Republicans for decades, ladies and gentlemen, in the state of Vermont have been demonized.
And that's the propaganda we have to get past.
We have to get past this. Do
Yes.
we want to fix the problems we have in Vermont? If the
Right.
answer is yes, then we have to have conversations with everybody.
Right.
Everybody who's got a seat at the table, including Republicans, need to have their voice heard, need to have their proposals heard. That didn't happen even last biennium
Right.
because the majority still decided what bills got discussed, what got testimony, what got voted on.
Right.
And because of the majority having the most chairmanships, most of the witnesses got decided.
Yes.
It was a real effort to get a balance even on discussion.
And this is the partisan politics that
Yes.
ultimately, and who loses in this? It's Vermonters.
Yeah.
It is us who lose when that is the case, when someone just hears a party and just shuts down.
Shuts
but that's
down.
how we've been programmed by a lot of
Yeah.
news media. I mean, it's so divisive, as we know.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know,
and Vermont can rise above it.
We
We've
can.
got to
We
rise.
should rise
What
above
did
it.
Darcy say? Vermont is worth fighting for.
it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is have you witnessed this? Have you heard this? Have you had somebody say, you know, why are you even listening to Republicans? Why are you entertaining a conversation with them? I hope it's because there are problems that need to be fixed in Vermont and you're open to ideas that will make Vermont safer, more affordable, make the roads more easy to travel without needing an alignment every
Just like
time you
back
take
to
a ride.
The basics.
Yeah,
And as
back
an
to
independent,
basics.
I feel like I can speak to this because as an independent right now, I am so in support of the Vermont Republicans, the Vermont Party. Republican Party platform, the Senate Vermont Promise that came out, because you guys are focused on Vermont. You guys
Yeah.
are focused on helping Vermonters figure this out and dig us out of this hole that 3 decades, that's 30 years of Democrat progressive leadership has dug us into.
Yeah.
And we need to get out of it. And that's where I absolutely, as an independent, feel it is truly the Vermont Republicans who not only will do this, but have the plan and the actual steps to make it happen, Mike.
Right.
Yeah, and hopefully people can wake up and have these real conversations and break their minds out of this party
Yeah.
divide.
And it boils down to when you pull the curtain and you vote. If you vote on November, what is it, 3rd, whatever,
I think it's the 3rd this
first
time.
Tuesday in
Yep.
or you mail your ballot in early. Mm-hmm. No matter what, if nobody's around, say what you need to say in public so that everything is smooth with your family and work and everything else. What you do in the voting booth is what matters.
Right.
So realizing, like you said, Allison, after 30 years, something has to change.
Yes.
And
hopefully
making
being
those choices.
informed. In order
Yeah.
to be informed, you've got to
Absolutely
sort of
making
dig
it, yeah.
in and hear different voices and hear different sides of the story and know some of the history.
And know what the incumbents that are seeking reelection have stood for, have voted for. And that brings me to my next subject.
Which
Okay, in
is?
Chittenden County.
Oh, yeah, all the incumbents that got reelected.
The incumbents that are back on the ballot now in
Right.
Chittenden County, when they've been, a number of them been there at least 2 sessions, longer than that for some.
Right.
Okay, whether they've been in the House or the Senate or both, because a few of them are, that's the case.
But so many Democrats who created these problems
They
now
voted
reelected
for these things.
I know, and I don't know what that is. Is it the party divide? Is it not being informed? Is it? I don't even know what to
Yes.
make of that.
And this is the case where we have the tail wagging the dog where Chittenden County, the Chittenden County attitude, we're going to look out for only Chittenden County, and what about the rest of the state?
Right, and we've taken a hit because
We
of
have
that.
taken a huge hit because
And they
of
have
that.
a lot of power and control because of the numbers over there.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of representation. So it influences all of the policy affecting us I'm in Northeast
Oh, yeah.
Kingdom.
Yeah.
Your district's obviously
In rural areas, right.
Right,
But
right.
this is why, like you brought up, Allison, informing yourself. What is the platform of these candidates?
Mm-hmm.
What the incumbents, what has it been in the past? How have they voted in the past?
Right.
What have they said in meetings, caucus meetings, committee hearings, stuff like that?
And that's where I just published a piece in the Caledonia Record that just was called Policy Questions to Consider Asking Candidates. And I put in there specifically Democrat candidates. And I said, this is not a partisan issue. This is like a basic reality of they've created these problems. So if they're now up there saying affordability, we're going to fix the problems, how and what does that mean to you? How are you going to do it? Don't just tell me affordability. Are you going to work to repeal Global Warming Solutions Act? Are you going to work to repeal Renewable Energy Standard? Are you going to support a foundation formula to get a handle on our education property taxes, which are, as we all know, unsustainable?
Yes.
And we're just getting numbers.
Oh, wait, you weren't asking me. I'm sorry.
But absolutely. My husband and I just got our property tax bill and almost cried. I never want to open it. I always make him open it.
Oh, I know.
So
It's-
those are the real questions, though. What are you actually going to do besides just standing up there and saying affordability? You know?
Right. It needs to be the substance.
Yes.
Everybody knows affordability is the issue.
Right.
Everybody knows, but what bills did you back that support your claim to be seeking affordability this next biennium?
And when we
We're
know
talking-
that the Democratic leadership and a lot of the incumbents that were just reelected created these policies on healthcare that makes us the most expensive,
Yeah.
education that makes us the most expensive, energy policy. I mean, my goodness, we're paying more. We do not have to be paying that much for electric rates.
Yeah.
So I mean, these are the things that have to be rolled back that you guys have been trying to do, Mike.
Been trying.
You've got the bills for it, and then if you can just get the numbers, then that action could happen, and that's going to have the real world on the ground in our home impact that Vermonters are seeking right now to
Yes.
get some relief.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and all Vermonters need that relief.
Yes, we can all come together on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
definitely can.
Yeah.
So,
So hopefully people can rise above this partisan politics and open up their mind and have these real conversations and not just judge a Vermont Republican like yourself for no reason.
yeah, no,
Right.
it's about the platform.
Yes.
It's about, in my case and many others now, we have a legislative record.
Yes.
And that legislative record is easy enough to access.
It speaks volumes.
And if
Yes.
you take a little bit of time, sometimes navigating it can be a little bit difficult, but with a little bit of time and maybe help from a friend who's a little bit more tech savvy than you are. And I know I've needed help. Me and my electronic devices fight all the time, and most times I lose.
Yeah, me too. But the Vermont Legislative website is
Yeah.
very easy to navigate. I mean,
Yeah.
you can just go to Find Legislator, click on them, whether they're a representative or senator, and then
Yeah.
you can find voting records and you can learn what they're about.
You can find the bills they sponsored and co-sponsored. You can find their their roll call votes.
Yes, the roll calls,
stuff like that.
exactly,
All,
yes.
all kinds of things like that. And you can actually watch just about every minute of committee hearings and floor debate.
Right, right.
It's all preserved.
And if you
for
don't have
people to
time
look.
for that, then you definitely should know who your candidates are,
Yeah.
what they stand for, and how they're going to be voting to support you.
Sure.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
that stuff can be downloaded so you can listen to it on your way to work.
Right.
Not that that's really what you want to listen to.
Some people aren't nerds like us. But it
Yeah.
does affect all of us, so we need to pay attention.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
All right, we've got to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. Pay some bills. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathi. Okay, so we're going to switch gears, and we are going to talk a little bit about something I don't know a lot about. And Allison, I don't know how much you know about it, but it's something we need to talk about. Cybersecurity. Okay, so FYVT.com, date of August 11th, 2026. Vermont Cybersecurity Report says it won't work. Mm-hmm. And that's very troubling.
Yes, it is indeed.
Very troubling. So let me read a little bit of this, and then we can have a little bit of discussion, because I got a feeling this is going to be a two-segment discussion here. This summer, somebody went after the water. By the FBI's count, intruders took control of industrial computers at water systems in at least 7 states.
Yes.
Some later reporting puts the number higher, even scarier. These were not defense contractors or power grids with 24-hour security operations. They were small water systems, the kind with a handful of employees, a part-time board, and a treatment plant most residents drive past without noticing. Mm-hmm. We do it in our district, okay? In at least one Minnesota town, operators lost their controls entirely and ran the plant by hand.
Right.
Now, mind you, break from the article, Allison and I were talking about this before we came back on air. This is the analog method, running the plant by hand. Sounds
Much
like
safer,
it's still
reliable. We've done it for a long time, no problems. You
Yeah.
start hooking things to the grid,
Yep.
and you got the digital grid with the wireless infrastructure, and it's all hackable. It's all exposed, very easy. So obviously, this is a clear example of the problem.
Yes.
Right.
The attackers did not need a software flaw. According to the FBI and EPA, they found programmable logic controllers.
Yes.
The small industrial computers that run pumps, valves, and treatment cycles sitting directly in the public internet and changed the device's IP addresses and passwords. Operators lost monitoring and control.
That is so dangerous. You
It
think
is.
about that. This is a water supply system, and this
Yes.
is smart tech, quote unquote, smart technology, right?
Yeah, which
smart.
apparently is
Not so
smart enough.
Self-monitoring and
Yeah.
reporting technology.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets, and it doesn't take a lot of equipment or expertise to hack into these systems.
No, and
Incredibly dangerous.
incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Why do we say it's incredibly dangerous? Do you want to be drinking contaminated water,
and
ladies
you
and
want to
gentlemen?
make sure you have access to your
To your-
water.
and
Exactly.
have access. When you
Right.
turn on the faucet, you really want to have your water, right? That's what you expect. We've
And
come
this
to
also,
expect.
Mike, I should plug in here. This is also sort of this quote unquote smart tech is also plugged into our electrical grid, which puts our
Yes.
grid system. And the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, they had just come out maybe like 2-3 weeks ago at this point, and they said that for renewable energy projects, the inverters, I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, yeah. The
inverters had like a kill switch in it that were made in
DOD
China.
stopped the importation of them, right?
Exactly, because we have a high level of these inverters in our electrical grid, which
Yes.
again is a massive cybersecurity risk.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. So, operators lost monitoring and control. Some reverted to running their plants by hand. SACE's alert records boil water notices and sustained manual operations at water entities of all sizes. Security researchers at Forescout scanning on August 3rd counted 4,407 of these devices reachable from the open internet worldwide, about 2/3 of them in the United States.
Wow, massive hit.
So this is a weak point.
Yes.
This is something that, thanks to analog, we can be safer.
Right. And that's where you just come to this question of, should we really go over, they call it AMI, it's advanced metering infrastructure. And this is where, should we really be shifting to this? Because a lot of our small utilities in Vermont have been wanting to shift over to these smart meters. And not only is a smart meter a major source of radio frequency radiation right on your house, into your home, unmonitored levels, but these advanced metering infrastructure, this equipment is constantly communicating back with the utility with all the other smart meters in this one sort of community vicinity, and it's all exposed. And this is where it's all hackable infrastructure, as we're seeing here.
Yeah.
So,
So,
it
ladies
really is
and
a
gentlemen-
big question of, is that the direction?
Yeah. How much of your privacy are you willing to give up?
Right. And I just have to also say real quick, Mike, there was S213 was a bill this past
I think
legislative
that's
session. Does he
noted
talk
in
about
this
it?
bill. I
Okay.
think it's noted. If I read through it, and I'm pretty sure there's a mention of S213 in this
here
bill.
because I was involved in that. We helped
Okay.
to fight that because it came from the Senate, and it was essentially allowing an opt-out for smart meter for water utilities, which is great. But smart meter utilities, water utilities in Vermont already allow this opt-out, and we were concerned.
So it was redundant.
Well, it was also basically they wanted to add a fee. And so
Oh,
the electric utilities, basically Vermont has the best opt-out law for smart meters in the country.
Okay.
You can opt out of a smart meter, no questions asked, no fee attached. So as soon as the water utilities were asking for a fee, the electric utilities like Green Mountain Power were like, whoa, wait, we want to
want
add
it
a
too.
fee. So actually, Mike, I'll say Frank Clegg, he was the CEO of Microsoft Canada. And I was in touch with him, and he was going to come in to testify about the cybersecurity issues on all this advanced metering infrastructure. As soon as Chair Kathleen James saw his name, they basically backed off. They were like, wait a minute, maybe we don't want to go through this cybersecurity. 'Cause
Okay, hold
my
on a minute.
And I just
Hold
wanted
on a
one last thought real quick. My biggest thing was, how can you force this tech on people or make them pay to opt out of it if you can't guarantee that this is going to be protecting that your privacy will be protected? And so
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest arguments that we had of leave this alone. Don't make people pay to have this tech not on their homes.
Unbelievable.
Total cybersecurity risk.
So I'm going to remind our listeners, we just had a segment dealing with knowing who the legislators are, what they voted for.
Yes.
We had a I don't know, it was Kathleen James, Democrat or progressive, both. I can't
Democrat.
recall.
Yep.
She saw a name and didn't want that testimony.
And she didn't say that to me, but as soon as I sent a list of experts saying,
Yep.
hey, you should hear from these people, they never touched the bill again.
They never touched it.
That
Okay,
was how it went,
So
yeah.
the bill never was going to go anywhere.
Yeah, fortunately.
Well, but this is what I'm talking about. Us needing, we needed that testimony.
Yeah.
We needed to know why, because this
to
article is
understand.
telling us why.
Exactly, and to
So
understand.
we didn't get it. We
Right.
didn't get the testimony we
Right.
needed.
And I was glad that the bill was blocked so we didn't have to make people pay to opt out of this
Right, right.
technology. But
But there was so much other
Yes.
good testimony that could have been had to be setting up a signal flare. Look, this is a problem.
and to just learn, because again,
It-
it's going
right.
to keep coming back until we have
Well-
a deep understanding of, do we really want this tech if it's completely exposed?
Well, that's why
and
we
at
do this
risk?
show, to
Right.
inform people.
Yeah, so keep going.
Give you a
Thank
little bit
you.
of homework. Right. So researchers who examined the campaign found no confirmed exploitation of any software vulnerability. There was nothing to patch. The controllers were reachable, and they answered. The advisory on the water system intrusions names no attacker, but a joint federal advisory first published in April had already tied a broader campaign against internet-connected industrial controllers, including in the water sector, to an Iranian-affiliated group active since at least March. Who was at on the other end matters less than it seems. The fix is the same either way. That changes the question for Vermont. It is not whether our water systems are running unpatched software. It is whether anyone at those systems is responsible for asking.
Right.
Vermont knows the answer to that because Vermont asked. In 2024, the state's Cybersecurity Advisory Council, created by the legislature in 2023 to advise on protecting critical infrastructure, surveyed critical infrastructure operators across the state. The survey was deliberately built to expose nothing, anonymous, no technical detail, no way to identify a single organization or weakness. 119 organizations started it. 77 finished.
Wow.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it was something that well-meaning, but if it's not followed through on, what
Right.
good is it, right?
And I think that that's where it's also just understanding that this sort of digital infrastructure, this sort of wireless infrastructure is completely vulnerable.
Well-
Anything we are doing over that is accessible.
Well, this
Anyone who
next
wants to hack
statement
it.
is really scary.
Yeah.
Roughly 1/3 of Vermont's critical infrastructure organizations that completed the state's own survey reported no cybersecurity program of any kind.
Wow.
That figure deserves a caveat, and the caveat cuts against comfort rather than toward it. These were self-selected respondents. Organizations that sit down and finish a 39-question cybersecurity survey are, as a group, the ones already paying attention. The operators who never opened it are unlikely to be in better shape. So this is...
And you just think about the risks moving forward. I mean, if we're seeing these vulnerabilities and this exposure at this time, and we're moving towards this type of digital grid, I mean, this is going to be something we're battling all the time. We're going to have higher costs
Yes.
because they're going to have essentially these ongoing cybersecurity teams in place. Like,
Yes.
how is that going to affect our water rates, our electric rates?
And does that add to the cost of running these or not?
And
Does
the question
analog
also,
cheaper?
Right, and Green Mountain Power, they have had smart meters for quite some time. They've got a small percentage of people who opt out, but I don't think anybody's bill has gone down because of it. So they say,
isn't that
oh, it's going to
interesting?
be more efficient and it's going to be more cost effective, but you just don't see that play out in real time. And then you add cybersecurity costs to it, and what are we doing?
Yeah.
Analog is safer, it's reliable, we've had it for years, and I'd rather pay a person who can go out and check versus to pay like an AI cybersecurity team trying to keep my necessities safe.
So we had two bills that this article refers to. H560, which I think was a data broker bill. And then we have one that you brought up off air, S213. It passed by the Senate in March, would have made cybersecurity a condition of running a public water system on smart meters, and directed the Secretary of Natural Resources to develop cybersecurity measures for every public water system in the state.
And that would be great. However, you should not be, at least in my opinion, making people pay to opt out of a network or a system that is not safe. I mean, that's the problem. Like, to me, forcing this tech on people is not a good idea because we cannot guarantee that. I mean, look at the exposure that, we're just talking about.
So this refers to written testimony. Written testimony to the committee that April, the general manager of Champlain Water District, who noted he also holds the council's water seat, told lawmakers the bill's cybersecurity language is not necessary because the CAC legislation already incorporates what is in this bill.
And that's where you had two major water utilities come to testify. I was there that day. Yeah.
Okay.
And they both basically said, like, this is unnecessary. We're providing opt-outs. We're doing okay. But I think, to me, it's back to the fundamental risk around this infrastructure.
Okay, so there are two kind of competing interests here. One is the opt-out and one was the actual need for cybersecurity. Or they were trying to tie the two together.
Right.
And,
I don't know if you're ever going to get cybersecurity with this type of infrastructure. It's going to be an ongoing battle. I mean, that also reminds me, Mike, of the situation, and I don't know what we have for time in this segment here.
We've got a couple minutes left, about a minute and a half. That's about it.
Because back in 2022, the Vermont Agency of Digital Services entered into a $29 million contract with Workday Enterprise Resource Planning, which is an AI-driven cloud-based system to replace Vermont's existing systems for human resources, budget, finance, labor, and transportation. There'll be more to talk about on the next segment.
I think we should continue this into the next segment because some of this, the cybersecurity stuff, we obviously need it. The thing that really worries me is, are we increasing our costs for the cybersecurity, and we're supposedly reducing jobs?
Right. Do we need to shift over?
Do we need to shift?
Right.
Do we really need to shift? Which is going to make us safer? If we have a couple more employees, well, if we want people to stay here, we're going to need jobs anyway.
Right. That's
Maybe
the
I'm missing
fundamental
something.
question is,
if we're going to be more expensive running the computer-based stuff, I'd much rather have the analog
Exactly.
stuff. Much rather have the analog
and
stuff.
a lot of people are really, really landing there with seeing the concerns around this. And that's not even getting into the radio frequency radiation, that comes with this type of tech as well.
So we're not going to be able to cover the whole article, but that was FYVT.com. August 11th was the article. He's got Dave Sully's got a lot of cybersecurity stuff and tech stuff on his website as well. So we're looking at the end of another segment here. So ladies and gentlemen, we've got to pay some more bills. We shall return in a couple minutes. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathy. Before we get back into our discussion, Right Side Up radio@gmail.com if you'd like to drop us a line. If for some reason you can't catch us on WNTK Radio, go to WNTK.com, find the podcast button, click on it, and if you scroll down, you'll be able to find any number of Right Side Up podcasts and different segments. You can listen any time of the day or night. You can share it with friends. You can also catch us on 802 Scoop Facebook and 802 Scoop YouTube. You can find us on, Podbean, and you can also find us on granitegrok.com. So, Allison, we went from, cybersecurity with respect to water systems and other things and utilities, and you had something else.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to expand just on some of the cybersecurity risk. So I was saying just in the last segment that the Vermont Agency of Digital Services entered a $29 million contract with Workday Enterprise Resource Planning, which is an AI-driven cloud-based program. They're going to use it for replacing Vermont's existing systems, human resources, budget, finance, labor, transportation. So it's this massive investment, and there's a lot of question around it right now. So basically, cloud computing, this program is subscription based. So how much are the costs going to be? How are the costs going to go up over time?
Really?
How is that going to affect us? Because we know that can, take a big hit.
Yeah, especially since we're looking to shrink our budget.
Yes, I know that is one of the concerns. And then this, Mike. So basically what has been coming through in some of there's called the JITOC committee, which is the Joint Informational Technology Oversight Committee.
Yep.
And so existing state systems are currently functional. They have the capacity for upgrades at lower costs. And the Vermont Joint Fiscal Office offered a review recently. This was just, I think, last year they offered the review, estimating $72 million to kickstart this system by 2031 with no promises that it will work as required. So a formal bid process to weigh options in relation to needs was never implemented. Estimated costs have since increased to $139 million, potentially more, with an annually projected operating cost of $5 million per year after the initial investment. And so
It
it's
sounds like
starting
getting stuck
to
in a gerbil wheel here.
Yeah, and just the costs and no promises that it's going to actually work. And then Maine and Iowa have backed out of contracts with Workday after spending $35 million. Maine spent, $16 million Iowa spent. It was determined Workday would not perform as needed. Oregon has spent $15 million in a class action lawsuit after the Workday payroll program caused wage law violations. So it's really just a lot of people are really questioning, is this AI Workday subscription-based high energy, really, again, exposure? You've got AI,
Right.
which we know
Yeah.
is data mining, right?
Mm-hmm.
So data mining our government systems, I don't know what sort of cybersecurity protections are going to have to go into place here. But so these are the questions between cost, risk, need.
Well,
Should we go there?
the thing that comes to my mind is when we're talking about legislation and we're talking about things we want to do in state government, we often look to other states to see what works.
Right.
Look for model legislation. We also look and see, well, what did they find out didn't work, and do we want to stay away from it? And this is one of those things where we might want to tap the brakes just a little bit,
Right. And there's
before we get too deep.
Exactly. And there's definitely recent, the Oversight Committee had met recently. And again, there's just question around what is it going to cost? Is it going to work for us? Should Vermont continue to go down this path, or do we upgrade existing systems? And I always come to this place of, to me, there's also a level of hypocrisy around it, because all of us know, AI is a tool, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with the tool. But it also takes a lot of energy, a lot of water to run this tool, right?
Yeah, and it goes back to that stinking data center.
The data
bill.
centers, right. And so the question is, here we have this Global Warming Solutions Act that I would love to see repealed, because this is attacking Vermonters basically with higher costs on basic living expenses, right?
Yeah.
And so we're okay with, we're going to charge Vermonters more for heat and fuel so we can meet our greenhouse gas reduction requirements in the Global Warming Solutions Act. But oh, by the way, in the meantime, we're also going to do this AI government-based workday system and burn through a ton of energy and water, because how is that justified? And I asked, you'll get a kick out of this, Mike. I asked the Climate Action Office, as part of Agency of Natural Resources, how are we justifying this? Like, we're okay with using AI here, yet, hey, if you want to heat your home, we've been trying to do a clean heat standard and charge you more. Like, this just does not align. And so that's one of my sort of, let's get past this hypocrisy and repeal Global Warming Solutions Act if we're really going to be using and embedding AI in our government systems.
Did you get any kind of a response?
It was like hadn't really thought about that. And I have to say, which was even more hysterical, this was in Barrie at the Climate Council meeting when they were putting their climate action plan together. And you know what? Here you have Climate Council talking about greenhouse gas reductions and everything we need to do to clamp down on this. And they're using AI at their meeting. They're like, everybody use your QR code and answer these questions on the screen. And I'm like, are we talking about reduced consumption or what?
That's the thing that really got me when we were actually deliberating over the data center bill.
Yes.
I can't remember what bill number it was.
Yeah, what was that one? 727.
727.
Yeah.
So it's in the Environment Committee, and we're deliberating over, and that was the exact thought that I had. Okay, are we going to avail ourselves of data center, the advantages of data centers from some other state because we don't want it here,
Right.
aka the NIMBY stuff?
Right.
Or are we going to find a way that we can have any data centers that would benefit the state of Vermont here? So, like with so many other things, we're going to be self-sufficient. We're going to grow our own food. We're going to do this.
Right.
If we have our own energy sources and we have our own food and then we have our own data sources, that's how you do self-sufficiency.
Right. Good point. And this is where it's like, you can obviously, and the bill did do this, early on before the bill went bad and deserved the veto, demanded the veto. We had protections for ratepayers, protection for the grid, protection for water, protection for the environment. All of that stuff was put in place as it needs to be. But then you look at everybody cranking out their AI this and their AI that, and it's like, oh, well, we're going to use this tool, but no, we can't have that here.
Well,
Who wants a data center? But if you're using the tech, let's own up to it.
Here we go. Already in our energy, we're using hydroelectric, but there's been a move in this state to have hydroelectric declared not green, which doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
We're also getting some electric from I forgot Seabrook in New Hampshire.
Yes, that's some base load.
Okay.
Right.
Base load. Ladies and gentlemen, base load means that's what we rely on. That's the backup.
Exactly.
And yet we don't want it here. It's like, wait a minute. This to me screams hypocrisy. We know, especially now, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but we know now that nuclear has been proven to be very safe, and the newer technologies are showing that they potentially could be extremely safer, much more safe than the older technology that we know is already safe. So why not have it here? If we really believe in self-sufficiency, we have some candidates saying we should go it alone, which is impossible right now. Unless, of course, you want to collapse the economy in the next 5 minutes.
And put people's lives literally at risk.
People's lives
for
at
cold
risk.
Winters in Vermont.
Yes.
Right. I know.
So this is where, common sense, I can get it into the building because I don't get searched.
Right.
Common sense needs to prevail in these arguments. We have to be realistic. And so many of the bills that have passed that have cost us a lot of money, cost us Vermonters leaving the state, retirees, young people, runs the gamut, because we did not have a reasonable common sense discussion about what is actually applicable that will work, that won't hurt the economy, that will actually have our economy growing, our population growing at a reasonable rate, and having our housing market growing at a reasonable rate.
And just being able to see the reality, Mike, I mean, exactly, of we need the base load power. We
Yeah.
need good jobs. We need a functional economy. And if we can't go shutting it down by bad policy, that makes it harder to do all of those things. And
Yeah.
obviously, just back to earlier, the first segment, when we were talking about the letter in the bridge from Darcy.
Yeah.
You know, just this is 30 years in the making. This
Exactly.
is 30 years of policy in the making.
Yeah.
And we want to just roll it back. And like you said, common sense, reality check. How can we do this properly?
Yeah.
I know.
And just one more thing about baseload. Baseload, when we talk about baseload, we're talking about something that no matter what, this is what we can rely on.
Yeah.
When the wind is not blowing and it's 1:30 in the morning, you're not going to have any power coming from solar, and you're not going to have it coming from wind, and batteries are just not there yet,
Right.
and I don't know that they ever will be, and they won't last very long at all. A very, very short period of time.
Right.
So your base load is, let's see, biofuels, biomass. It is oil. It
Nuclear.
is nuclear.
Right.
It is coal.
Natural
Those
gas.
things, natural gas, that
Right.
can be stored and used immediately when needed.
Right. And
This
when we
is
need
what
to
we need.
draw on that base load power, if
Yeah,
we need to
we
draw
do.
on that like we did this winter, because we're not in these regular contracts for a certain amount of base load power, we
Yeah.
end up paying so much more.
Right.
It becomes insane. So
And-
it's like, how do you find that balance with it?
Because moved away from those. Yeah,
Yeah.
the lack of a contract means, just like, and many people know this when they buy their energy, whether it be oil or propane. If you have a contract and you know you're going to be purchasing, say, 1,000 gallons,
Right.
your energy provider will give you a discounted rate.
You get a better
That's
deal.
the same with our energy suppliers at a massive scale.
Exactly.
If you have a contract to buy, I don't know, say 50 megawatts worth of power or 150 megawatts worth of power, when you have the need, you're purchasing it at a discounted rate
Exactly.
because your contract says you're buying a massive amount, so you're getting it at a discounted rate. What we've done with this trying to work toward renewables is actually shoot ourselves in the foot financially.
And that's where it's also remembering, and this is where a lot of times I try to point out to some of the Democratic legislators who just want to push to the point of pain and where it's just unrealistic, is trying to remind ourselves what we already do. We already pay Efficiency Vermont
Yeah.
every single month on our electric charges. We're doing a lot there. We do tremendous amounts with weatherization. We have the cleanest electrical energy. We have the highest in-state renewable generation percentage in the country.
And
So
we're
it's
not
like,
giving our population the credit they
exactly.
deserve.
Like, we've done a lot, and we just want to make sure that it's also reliable and affordable in the meantime. And this is where we don't want to get into the extremism that we tend to see with a lot of the
Yeah.
leadership that's been in there right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's hurtful to our my constituents,
Right.
your neighbors,
Right.
your
and this is where we
friends, your
can't
family
be driven
members.
by that ideology. We have to
No.
make sure that reality, not ideology,
Yeah,
is leading the charge.
reality has to rule the day.
Right,
You're
right.
And nobody, most people in the legislature, nobody in the committee I sat in was looking to do any harm to the environment.
Right.
None.
Right.
Nobody.
Exactly.
We live in a very environmentally conscious state, and we can still manage to grow our economy and our population
Right.
while keeping an eye on that environmentalism.
And that's where it's also just keeping in mind reduced consumptions and the way how far efficiency has come in a lot of this technology.
And
You know,
how it grows by the day.
Exactly.
That's the thing that's really impressive.
And that's what's going to sell itself naturally. And people are going to say, oh, look, oh my goodness, that's going to save me money. And it's affordable and it's efficient. And I can, and that's where we don't want to force stuff on people, but we want to allow the opportunity so people can purchase what comes along with the tech.
Forcing stuff. You mean like the clean car and truck rule?
Yeah,
Forcing
we don't
stuff
want
on
those
people?
mandates.
No, we don't. We need,
Right.
well, we have certain number of us who have been walking the halls of Montpelier the past couple of years who understand that the free market will tell us where we need to go.
Right, right.
So,
And what deserves to rise to the top
Exactly.
will rise to the top.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please remember, stay safe, stay informed, listen to Right Side Up.